tried it, so you don't have to.
You were the talk of the town.
And I was the talk of the town because Patrick pinches butts.
Butt pincher.
Hey guys, welcome to my channel. So for this video, I thought we'd do some more react time. This one's going to be again to those old-timey educational videos. They always seem to be a laugh, and man, how dated are they? Anyways, why don't you join along for the ride of nostalgia in the sense of old-timey videos. Alrighty. Our first video is called Dinner Party from 1949.
This is a game on table manners. Betty, our hostess, is having a few of her friends to her home for a birthday party. She has been to any number of little parties like this, but this is the first time she has given a party all by herself. Like everyone else, she thinks that her etiquette is perhaps not perfect, but good enough so that there are no glaring errors. She is proud of her table arrangement and thinks she deserves a word of congratulation. But the housekeeper must tell Betty she has noticed a few errors.
Oh my
A
goodness.
napkin is out of place. The butter knife belongs on the butter dish, not next to the meat knife. And a water glass. Small matters, but they are important when they show whether or not your habits of etiquette are correct. See if you notice right away when someone is incorrect or is definitely correct. Betty's confidence is shaken a bit, and she has doubts of her correctness. Should she have preceded her guests into the room? Is she directing them to their places properly? Should Betty have used place cards? The young man who is trying, too late, to assist Betty with her chair is Bob. It is his birthday that is being celebrated and his host. He seems to feel at ease and just act as she always does. Notice now what a way of opening his napkin and putting her in his belt. Could that be all right? Bernie and Helen seem quite certain of the way they open their napkins and place them in a half fold in their laps. They seem to be really at ease. But then everyone is more at ease now that the party is really started. The main thing is that they should enjoy each other's company. Betty and Bob aren't worrying about their mistakes for a moment, but in the back of their minds they realize they will have to pay more attention to their manners. They know that the object of correct etiquette is not to make life formal and dull, but to make it fully enjoyable. There are reasons for each act of etiquette, as in a man's assisting a lady with her chair, or the order with which people are...
Oh my goodness. She just jumped.
Bob is hungry, and the soup looks good. He is using his company manners, but as we see, he is doing at least 3 things wrong. Now that the soup is served, Betty sees that the crackers are passed. Floyd passes the crackers to Dorothea before he helps himself. Should he have helped himself first or not? Bob is eating before the others. What about that? Apparently the guests are waiting for Betty to pick up her spoon before they begin.
Oh my God.
Dorothy too starts, and they all... But naturally, the guests give no indication of having noticed any error on Bob's part, since that in itself would be impolite. As the relish dish is passed, Bob takes a handful and puts them on his service plate, and back he goes to his soup in the same old way. Then Bob notices that the others have placed their relish differently, and changes them from one plate to the other, knowing there is a reason, but what is it? But having made the change, Bob is glad to see Betty has noticed that he corrected himself. All is well again with the party. No one's enjoyment is being interrupted with any problems for the moment. Betty now is running into some problems of her own, things that she hadn't thought of until now. That elbow on the table isn't one of her problems because she isn't even aware of it, but she is aware of the olive as a problem. Is there a correct way of eating an olive? Shouldn't you just pop it into your mouth and eat it? But then, how do you take out the pit? With your fingers? And when you have the pit, where should you place it? Floyd seems to have confidence in his way, but also too many fingers. Betty thinks she might try Floyd's way. Betty hopes that she doesn't look as awkward as she feels. Now our hostess feels better about the olives, but right away she sees something else. Dorothea is breaking her celery before taking a bite. It has always been just celery. You ate it in whatever lengths you found it. Is it easier to handle in shorter lengths? And does it look like a smaller bite when you dip it in the salt and then bite off a portion?
These are
Bernie and
supposed to
Helen
be
don't
your
seem to be
friends.
concerned with any problems.
Holy crap.
Bernie eats a radish and simply enjoys it, and he seems certain of himself. Helen is even tipping her soup plate for a last sup. Can that be correct? Certainly her manners aren't interfering with her enjoyment of the party. As host, Bob is expected to serve the meat course. At home, his father does the serving. It looked perfectly simple, and it is. But if you were in Bob's place, would you know positively what to do? Which serving implement should he use? Should he just go ahead as best he can? Dorothea is looking away so as not to notice. Bob
Heaven
still
forbid.
isn't sure of what to do, but he can't hesitate forever.
Come on,
That
Bob.
amount seems too much. A lady is not flattered by being offered a portion the size that might appeal to a hungry lumberjack.
Oh my god.
Betty is worried for Bob, but after all, he is trying. Everyone learns by experience, even when mistakes are made, and one isn't at all sure of anything that he is doing. Bob wonders if the portions he is serving are now too small. Should he give a large portion to the men and small ones to the ladies? Or should he serve about this amount and let the guests return their plates if they wish a second helping? Now Betty is about to serve the salad. Some new questions are arising. Can she use the implements for serving the salad correctly? And what size should the portions of salad be? Is she offering too little? Is she getting a proper assortment? As Betty passes the plate, should she say for whom the plate is intended?
This is exhausting.
Bernie and Helen act as though everything were going smoothly with them. And so really it is. In spite of Betty's worries, there are no mishaps. Floyd and Dorothea are enjoying themselves. Bob, you notice, is not starting first this time. He waits with the others for Betty to start. Here is the kind of fun that they all thought of when the party was planned, of having a good meal together and plainly enjoying one another's company. The errors that have been made haven't taken the fun out of the party, and we must remember to give them credit for all the things that have been done correctly. For every mistake made, a dozen things have been done correctly. Bob is feeling more confident of himself. He seems to remember that it is correct to use his knife for cutting lettuce or tomato if they are served in pieces that are too big for a proper bite. What do you think?
Oh my god.
Is he wrong or is he right? But the person with confidence isn't necessarily the person who is correct. Up until this minute, Betty has been confident that a person should butter his vegetables with his knife. But now that Betty sees Floyd buttering his with his fork, she isn't certain. She wishes she did know definitely. It seems safer to follow Floyd's example. If he is correct, then she will be too. Bob is swinging from one extreme to another. 1 minute he is uneasy, the next overconfident. Now he is forgetting even his company manners and is acting as he usually does, in telling one of his favorite stories. Dorothea and Floyd give him their attention when he's looking at them, but at the same time they manage to continue eating while their food is warm. Bob isn't letting the story interfere with his eating either. So let's try counting the number of obvious blunders. The waving of his knife and fork about. Talking with food in his mouth. Monopolizing the conversation. But it is an exciting story. It's about a trip up in the mountains. And then, uh-oh. This isn't the kind of an ending to the story that Bob had in mind.
Oh no.
But it is quicker and maybe better. At least it stopped Bob from making any more mistakes.
Oh my god.
Betty, too, has discovered that she had forgotten a couple of items of behavior. She is thinking that perhaps she and Bob both need to be embarrassed a bit to make them admit that their manners aren't as good as they should be.
Whew.
Bob may be thinking the same thing, because he certainly looks as if he has decided to make a lot of changes. The others, of course, say nothing. Betty decides that the first thing for her to do is to regain her poise. Just act as though no errors had been made. But she will be more observing of her own manners and those of others, too. Betty feels safe in her way of eating a roll and jelly. Is there anything in what Bernie and Helen are doing that would get your attention right away? Was there anything in the way he helped himself to more jelly? How about the way he holds his knife and fork? Or the way he cuts his meat? And takes it to his mouth with his left hand. When you are eating meat, do you take the meat to your mouth with the fork in your right hand or your left? Is there a question of correctness here? Helen is also using her left hand. Betty holds the fork in her left hand while cutting the meat, and then passes the fork to her right hand for placing it in her mouth. This is zigzag eating. She has noticed that the British and continental people usually use their left hands. But now that she is beginning to take her manners seriously, she wonders if there is a matter of correctness involved, or whether both ways are equally correct.
Who cares?
One way American, the other European. Betty wishes she were as certain of that point as she is of how her knife should be placed. Bob has never heard of zigzag or continental ways of eating meat, but he is on the watch out for such things now. And as soon as he notices what Betty is doing, he is ready to follow her example, whether she is right or wrong. He uses his left hand all right, even if he does take an oversized bite. Bob congratulates himself on trying a new way. He and Betty have a lot to learn. At least there are no further mishaps as the meat course is finished and the table cleared for dessert. Bob is happy now and is proud of himself. Formal parties like this are really enjoyable when one isn't afraid of doing the wrong thing. Bob has reached the point where he feels that since his intentions are good and he is watching himself, that all is well. If you just try to figure out what is the reason for each rule of etiquette, you find that the rules are sensible. After all, correct manners are simply the way one person shows his consideration for another. In other words, proper manners are your way of showing common politeness. As far as Bob is concerned, this is the best birthday he has ever had. And to top it off, a big birthday cake that Betty had made for him. He really appreciates this. For the cake is a symbol, like the whole dinner, of friendship. A very delicious symbol of the regard that Betty and her friends hold for Bob, particularly Betty. The lighting of the birthday cake with candles is an old custom, and so is the blowing out of the candles. But do you suppose the placing of the candles at the side is a modern touch of avoiding possible germs being blown on the cake? Serving the meat course upset Bob. Apparently serving the cake has its difficulties too. Our hostess isn't certain that she should be helping Bob. She worried about leaving the table to bring in the cake in the first place. Betty wondered if the serving should be left to the housekeeper. What would you say? There is no denying that Bob needs help.
Who cares?
He is having trouble with the serving implements again. Do you think he might be able to figure out from the shape and the size of the blades which to use? Cutting and serving your own birthday cake would seem to be a pleasure, but could you actually do this any more gracefully than Bob is? Betty's help may not be as great as she thinks. What of her reaching in front of Bob, and about her placing the dessert forks? Are these correct? Bob accompanies Betty to her place, assisting her with her chair before resuming his serving. He is at least trying to change his habits.
Our next video is the do's and don'ts of dating from 1949.
Yes, Mom, I've got it. What's that? Oh, yes, the ticket he told me about. Well, let's see what he has to say. Here's the latest on my broken ankle. Doc says I'll be all right, only I have to stay off my feet for a week or so. Anyway, here's the ticket for the High Teen Carnival. It's too late to turn it in, so you have yourself a time and tell me all about it. One couple. That means a date. Not like just going around with the crowd. Just me and the girl. Well, that's all right. Only, what girl? Who?
How do you choose a date? Whose company would you enjoy? Well, one thing you can consider is looks. Woody thought of Janice and how good-looking she was. He'd really have to rate to date somebody like her. Yes, he'd enjoy that, except, well, it's too bad Janice always acts so superior and bored. She'd make a fellow feel awkward and inferior.
Because Janet's a bitch.
Well, perhaps someone who doesn't feel superior. There's Betty, and yet it just doesn't seem as if she'd be much fun. What about Anne? She knows how to have a good time,
Oh, my.
and how to make the fellow with her relax, have fun too. Yes, that's what a boy likes. He wants to know he's appreciated. Anne would be fun on a date. So Woody decided he'd ask Anne for this first date. But just how should he ask her? And what if she refused? No, it won't be easy asking for that first date.
Well, Woody, hi.
Hi, Ed.
What you doing?
Just thinking.
Don't work too hard.
Ed, is this private?
No, stick around if you like.
Well, hello, Edward. I thought I heard you come in.
Hi, Mom. What's for supper?
Oh, Mom, is it all right with you if I have a date Saturday night?
Well, of course, you generally go out on
Is he out on the
Saturday.
phone?
Hello. May I speak to Mary, please?
But, Mom, this is different. A date. I haven't asked her yet, but I'd like to take Aunt Davis to the High Teen Carnival.
He's on
Oh,
the
Anne's a
phone.
nice girl, but a date? Well, you're rather young.
Oh, Mom, give him a break. I think he can swing it. We all have to start sometime.
Well, if you don't overdo on dating, Ed knows what I mean. Weekends only, and not too late.
Thanks,
Mary?
Mom.
I just called up to check on the night. I think I can get by a little earlier than usual. How's 7:30? All right, Mary. Bye now.
Boy, you sure make it sound easy. How do you do it?
Practice, my boy. Experience.
But I don't think I'll know what to say, what to talk about.
Now, don't worry about that. Just be your natural, talkative old self. Come on, let's see what's for supper.
Wait a second. Oh, Mom, is the floor dry yet?
Yes, you can come in.
Hello, Mrs. Davis. This is Woody. Alan Woodruff. May I speak to Anne?
How do you ask for a date? What about this?
Anne? Well, how about a date? Well,
really, no thanks, Woody.
Ouch.
Well, suppose he did it this way.
Hi, Anne. What you doing Saturday night?
Well, I guess I'm busy.
Oh, yeah? Any chance of giving him the brush off for me?
Well, of all the nerve!
Well, is there another way?
Anne? This is Woody. Well, I have a ticket for the High Teen Carnival Saturday, and, well, would you like to go?
Why, yes, Woody. I'll have to talk to my folks about it, but I think I can go. That'll be fun.
That'll be fun.
Yeah. Well, shall I pick you up about 8 o'clock?
That's fine, Woody. 8 o'clock Saturday. I think it'll be all right, but I'll let you know for sure. Bye.
Bye.
A date with Woody. Saturday.
Our last video is Good Table Manners from 1951.
I hope you got something good to eat tonight. Hi, Mom. The coach really gave us a workout. And, oh, boy, ham. I'm so hungry I could eat a neutral and see what he gave us to do.
Chuck,
Huh?
could you serve yourself in a less athletic manner?
Ooh.
Oh. Is this better?
Damn.
Chuck. At least you could manage to be on time. After your mother goes to all the trouble to prepare a fine meal, it's only common courtesy, Chuck.
I know, but I couldn't help it. I was late home from school.
Never mind. He did wash up and brush his hair. By the way, Chuck, I saw Barbara's mother downtown. That's quite a supper party she's planning.
Is it this Friday?
I'm not going.
Why not?
Do I have to have a reason?
But all your friends will be there.
Carl, I'm not going.
Chuck, don't talk with your mouth full.
Or he'll hit him.
Good night, Chuck.
Good night. Have a good time.
Thank you, Chuck.
Night,
Good night.
Dad. Oh, who wants to go to a supper party?
You do, Chuck.
Huh? Who are you?
We're looking into the future, Chuck. I am the young man you are going to be in a few short years.
Well, if you say so.
And take it from me, when we're my age, we won't be turning down invitations.
Maybe not.
Tell me, why aren't you going?
I don't know.
I do. You're worried about not doing the right thing. Your table manners.
Now you're talking like Mom and Dad.
Look, you may not care much about table manners now, but when you grow up to be me, then you'll care.
But why? Why does it matter?
For several reasons. Look, maybe I can show you. Let's imagine the family at dinner with nobody minding his manners. Not very pretty, is it? Each person busy feeding his face, showing no consideration for the others. People become irritated, angry. No one can enjoy a meal like this. No.
Okay, what the hell are they?
Mealtime is a time for pleasure and relaxation. It's the best opportunity the family has to talk together, exchange bits of news, make plans. When everybody eats properly, the meal goes better, and everybody has more fun. What's more, when we relax and enjoy ourselves, we digest our food better. And ask your doctor if that isn't important to your health. But there's more.
What's that?
How long now before you'll be going out to make your own way in the world?
Not very long, I guess.
And whatever you do, wherever you go, you'll want to put your best foot forward. Here, let's try another trick. Let's change that to a table in a restaurant. You're taking a girl out to dinner. To make a good impression, you must know what to do. Who seats the girl? When you sit? How to order your meal? Of course, the girl wants to know these things too, in order to show herself at her best. Then you must know how to eat your meal. And the only way to have good table manners when you want them is to practice them regularly at home. Get in the habit of eating properly, so it just comes naturally. Or take another case. Say you're having lunch with your boss. Say he's thinking about somebody to fill a good position that's opening up. Well, put yourself in the boss's place. Would you give the job to a fellow like this? Or to a fellow who thinks that table manners are silly? You see what I mean about putting your best foot forward? Table manners are important because people judge many things about you just by the way you eat.
All right, maybe so, but it's all so complicated.
Is it? Look, there's nobody here. Let's try it out.
What do you mean?
Come on. Besides, that supper party sounds good. If we know what to do, I think we'll want to go.
Well,
Look sharp now. There. There is a place setting properly arranged.
it looks all right, but what am I supposed to do? That's the question.
Well, what would you do if you sat down to dinner and found 3 forks, like this?
I'd probably end up with one left over and wonder what I did wrong.
Not if you remember one simple rule. Always use silverware from the outside in. So, starting from the outside, use this for your salad, this for your main course, and this...
Why, that one must be for the dessert.
You see? It's easy.
But there's something funny here. Doesn't the butter knife belong here?
Well, the book says either place.
Oh, the
And
book.
speaking of the book,
With
it
the
wouldn't
Bible?
hurt you to use one sometime and check up on any points that you're not sure of.
Sure, we have some books in school, but
That's the
I'll
book.
have to be careful who sees me reading it.
Don't worry, you can manage that. And now to use these things. Let's have some food. Say, it's too bad you've just eaten.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Things will be easier if you'll remember that in eating, there are 3 kinds of food. Finger foods, fork foods, and spoon foods. Now, clean dry foods, bread is one of them, are finger foods. But when you have something that's messy or sticky, you better use a fork.
Yeah, like a cream puff?
That's the idea.
Yeah.
Now, fork foods include meats, potatoes, vegetables, salads, and many others. There's a right way to hold a fork, and this is it. Don't put onto your fork any more than 1 mouthful of food. Oh yes, after you've placed food on your fork, if you decide to talk, lay it down until you're ready to eat. It looks better. And this is the way to park a fork, after you've used it.
Not propped up on the edge of the plate, huh?
That's the idea. Here, now you try it.
Okay.
Now with some fork foods, we need a knife. Let's see how you use it.
The folks say I do it wrong.
Hey, that's not only the wrong way, it's the hard way. Here, try this. Put the ends of both the handles in the palms of your hands, like that. Hold the meat with your fork and cut the meat. Don't tear it apart.
Say, this is better.
You see, good table manners are just common sense.
Is that right?
Yes, that's the way most people in America handle their knife and fork. We don't have to worry with the European method.
Okay.
But now, after you've finished eating,
I have.
you place your knife and fork this way to show that you have finished.
But what about spoon foods?
Oh, yes. All right. How do you manage soup?
Hi, you don't fool me on this one. You never tip the bowl, and you dip the soup away from you. Not too much in the spoon, and you eat from the side of the spoon.
Precisely. And now, would you care for some turnips?
Oh, turnips. You know I can't bear... no, thank you.
That's the idea, Chuck. Courtesy, consideration for others, common sense. That's what table manners are.
You mean that's all there is to table manners, just what we've talked about?
Oh, no. But you already know a great deal. And you can learn still more by watching Mother and Dad and other people who have good manners.
Mother.
But the main thing is...
The main thing is to practice at home so that table manners will come naturally and I won't have to think about them when I'm out.
You
That's
can't
right.
miss. Oh, let's stew the dishes.
That
Mother
was
should
easy.
see that.
Well, Chuck, are we going to that party?
Sure we are. We are.
That's right, Chuck. We are going to the party. You can't see me any longer, but remember, I'm the fellow you're going to be. So I'm interested in seeing that you always make a good impression. This really isn't hard, is it? You know what to do. That's right. Ladies first into the dining room. And now what? Right again. Find your place and remain standing.
Were you in science when
Oh my goodness.
You see, Chuck, it's easy to do the right thing if you remember courtesy, consideration of others, and common sense.
And there you have it. Just some fun educational videos from the 40s and 50s. My goodness, who knew dinner parties and table manners and dating was so stuffy and so intense? It's a time of enjoyment. You're to relax. None of that seemed relaxing to me. My goodness. But anyways, I hope you guys like the videos. If you want to see more of them, make sure to leave a comment down below. And until that, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!